The sentence that altered everything. The evening she said it, something within me curled inward and never fully straightened out again. "Stop begging for intimacy," my wife said, her tone dull, her gaze already sliding back to her phone as if the exchange were an inconvenience she could brush aside. We were standing in the kitchen, the ceiling light buzzing faintly, the scent of scorched coffee still hanging in the air from earlier that morning. I remember noticing how painfully normal the room appeared for a moment that felt like the quiet start of an ending. I wasn't begging, at least not in the way she framed it. I was asking, cautiously and a little clumsily, if we might carve out time together that weekend. No screens, no chores, just us. She exhaled as though I'd asked her to haul something heavy up a staircase. Emotional distance inside the marriage. "God, Ethan," she muttered, pressing her fingers to her forehead. "You turn everything into this. I am exhausted." I nodded because nodding was simpler than giving voice to what was tearing at my ribs. I convinced myself she was overwhelmed. Work had been relentless lately. Long days, a new supervisor. Everyone goes through dry stretches, don't they? Marriage rises and falls. That's what people repeat when they want you to endure. So I quit asking. At first it felt disciplined, almost grown up, like I was granting her space. I stayed on my side of the bed, stared at the ceiling, counted the rhythm between her breaths. When she rolled away from me in her sleep, I told myself it meant nothing. I funneled my effort into work, into lifting weights, into preparing dinners she barely tasted. I told myself love required patience, but patience began to feel like an eraser, slowly rubbing me out. Subtle signs something feels wrong. She shifted in small, nearly invisible ways. Changes easy to dismiss if you preferred comfort over truth. Her phone was always in her palm. She began showering as soon as she walked in the door, locking it behind her. New outfits appeared in her closet. Not bold, just unfamiliar, softer textures. A different perfume she claimed was a complimentary sample. It didn't smell like her at all. One night, while she brushed her teeth, I leaned against the bathroom frame and asked, "Do you still love me?" She stiffened, the electric hum of the toothbrush loud against her silence before she switched it off too sharply. "Why would you even ask that?" I shrugged, despising the smallness of it. "It just feels like we're drifting." She laughed, but it carried no warmth. "You're imagining things. Not everything is about your need for reassurance." The first crack in trust. That word, need, felt like a charge against me. I apologized again. The first real fracture came on a Tuesday. I remember the rain sliding down the windows as if the world were trying to blur itself away. She dozed off on the couch, her phone vibrating softly in her hand. I stood there longer than I should have, arguing with myself. Trust is everything, I thought. Don't become that man. Then the screen lit once more. A name I didn't recognize. A preview I couldn't quite see. Still thinking about last night. My stomach plunged so quickly I thought I might faint. My fingers trembled as I carefully slipped the phone from her grasp. I promised myself there would be context. There always is, until suddenly there isn't. The messages weren't explicit. That almost hurt more. They were warm, casual, shared jokes, tentative plans. He asked if she'd eaten. She sent a picture of her coffee mug, the one I'd given her for our anniversary. I returned the phone to her hand and locked myself in the bathroom to be sick, discovering the betrayal. For days, I kept silent. I observed her like someone studying a stranger, noting each lie she didn't realize I could detect. Every late meeting, every private smile, every subtle recoil when I touched her shoulder, each one sharpened. I wanted her to admit it. I wanted her to choose truth when looking at me. Instead, she chose what was easier. The confrontation. It happened on a still Sunday morning. Sunlight poured across the living room floor, catching dust we'd ignored for years. She was folding laundry, humming softly, when I asked, "Who's Mark?" She didn't raise her eyes. "Who?" I swallowed. "The man you're seeing." Her hand slowed, then stilled. She sat down, folding the fabric into her lap. For a second, she seemed small. Then she seemed irritated. "You went through my phone?" "No, irapia." I saw enough without digging. The silence between us thickened, heavy and airless. Finally, she sighed. It just happened. Those 3 words cut deeper than I expected, like our marriage was something she'd stumbled into by mistake. "Are you in love with him?" I asked. Her pause told me everything. "I never meant to hurt you," she whispered, tears finally slipping free. I just felt so alone. I let out a brittle, splintered laugh. "I beg you to tell me that. You told me to stop." She turned her face away, walking away with clarity. I packed a suitcase that night while she cried behind the bedroom door. Part of me wanted to go to her, to comfort her. That impulse frightened me more than anything. Weeks went by. The apartment I rented was quiet in a way that echoed. I slept both better and worse. Some mornings I woke reaching for her. Other mornings I woke grateful for the empty space beside me. The last time we met was to sign the papers. She looked worn, altered. When I handed her the pen, our fingers brushed. The old instinct flickered, then faded. I never thought it would end like this, she said gently. I nodded. Neither did I. A quiet but powerful ending. But as I walked away, an unfamiliar clarity settled over me. I hadn't stopped begging for intimacy because I no longer needed it. I stopped because loving someone who won't reach back eventually teaches you the shape of letting go. And in that surrender, aching as it was, I finally began to find myself.